This is the presentation for Topic 5, Post-Contract Administration. It's a part of the subject, Building Contract Administration. This presentation is additional to the study guide for this subject and in no way should be considered a substitute for the study guide. So, the business end of contract administration, or the pointy end as I've put in this slide, why bother? Why go into so much detail? The reason being is that if there is a problem throughout the course of the project, being an issue over payment, an issue over variations, an issue over access to the site, time, it'll be very easy for one party to be able to demonstrate to a judge or to an arbitrator or to the other party that they actually have a full understanding of what was recorded and how the project progressed. It makes it very easy for whoever has to make that decision to clearly say, well, look, this is the facts, this is how it is, there is no dispute, and so it avoids a lot of wasted time. In most cases, it avoids a lot of those disputes because it's very clear, the records and the administration, clear evidence and proof that this is the answer, and this is how this is how the project progressed. So, keeping a record of all communications on the project, as meeting attendances, minutes, discussions are clearly documented and put into diaries, site instructions, directions. It's all filed and easily accessible again, should you need to provide it as support. And quite often, a number of these forms of communications are put together to form that evidence of this is what the claim is, this is what the variation is about, this is why we require more time, or this is why you're not going to get more time. With any new contract or project about to commence, it's a priority really to understand all the considerations and what's required for variations and instructions on that particular project, the payment process, breaches of contract, what type of incidents would become a breach of contract, the process for making claims and time management. These are all issues that need to be considered pre-contract at the tender stage, but in post-contract period, you must be fully aware of these contract considerations. So maintaining your files and records becomes an extremely important part of the post-contract administration process. And I've listed a few of the obvious ones here on this slide: the tender submissions, accepted supplies, prices, subcontracts, progress claims, RFIs, and so forth. It's important to keep these in logical file sequence, whether it be in hard copy files stored on shelves, or similarly, whether it's kept on a drive on the computer. These are very important to be kept separate and to be filed. The filing that these bits of paperwork and pieces of correspondence are maintained in a very rigid file structure, so you can come back to and find this straight away. As I said in an earlier topic, I look at often the success of a post-contract process as being if someone can actually be removed from that position and someone placed into it very quickly, and whether that new person can actually take over that role just based on the systems and the contract administration that's in place should be able to. There should be no reason why a new person can't get into that position and start administering that project very quickly. So if we also consider, as I started to discuss there, the importance of files and records, it's really hard to try to produce or manufacture any records after the event of a claim. So, as I said earlier, to keep those records filed, to keep them up to date, it's extremely important. And I've made a couple of points here. they become facts. They're not opinions. They're not someone's opinion about what actually happened on site, who came there first, that type of thing. And it substantiates the contract history totally. The principal events of the day, keeping principal conversations, and significant events that occur on the site. So it's extremely important that the files and records are genuine, that they're recorded correctly, and that they're filed correctly. As I mentioned earlier, it comes back to then avoiding disputes and keeping the project, everybody in the project team well communicated, and ensuring that the most current information is correct, filed correctly, and that you act promptly on any new information. Verbal instructions are later documented, are made clear with the other parties very quickly after the communication, and that all documentation is current, that you're working on the current documentation, that everybody's communicating at the same level as well. Maintaining an up-to-date administrative records is so important. By keeping this process in operation, it lends itself to being a quality assurance of your administration. Once you get those systems in place, there's good reasons for it. It means that your operation, the workflow becomes very efficient. It's an enhancement of not just the company image, but also how you operate too. It's very clear that you have full control over what you're doing at any time. It increases client satisfaction because the client can actually see that you're dependable and that the information that you're providing is accurate and concise. And if going further, there is status and recognition of having a whole process and QA certified, but that would be an overall business rather than the contract administration process itself. But having said that, if the business was to be QA certified, then yes, all administration process would need to have a QA component. My favourite in the contract administration process is the diary. Extremely important. I've made some points here that all records in the diary should be project related, and not just the weather and a few things that are nice to record, the type of things that are kept on social networking sites, but really keep them project based. It needs to be reviewed weekly to make sure that you haven't missed anything. And as I said, keeping works and project relevant information. It's not to also include things about your private life in there as well. It's a work diary. In most cases, hard copy only. But having said that, soft copies and computer generated copies, you need a process of backing up as well. A simple template and process of running site meetings is extremely important. It's important to get this clear at the beginning of the project. All those subheadings that I've noted here that are important to the project, either contractually, commercially, or also you see them as possible, could be problem areas as the project develops for different reasons. Make sure that they're minuted every meeting. And there might be other things on these site meetings too. It might be hazardous materials. If you know it's a refurbishment, it could have hazardous materials, existing services, those type of things too, that actually also are extremely important in the documentation process for other reasons, and for external communication reasons as well. Keeping a good record and copy of requirement for information is extremely important. Giving the dates, an RFI number, what it was, how it was answered, and any other particulars or reference to requirement for information. These often become the basis then for further variations. They may be a basis for time extensions. They can be used for a lot of different types of supporting information, and also useful in determining whether one of the team members is actually working how they should be towards the same goal, or whether they're being slack. The same with drawing registers. Keep it simple, but ensure that every drawing is listed, and every drawing is name is consistent too. It's not unusual to get through the project and find for some reason some of those details might have changed. And the question is then, well, is this the same drawing or is this something new? Why has the name changed? It's going to impact on so many suppliers and subcontractors. And that can be a reference point for that too. But also ensuring that the dates, this is a very simple spreadsheet showing here, but the dates and the revision number as well, and that everybody has a copy of this type of drawing register. A register also for variations, ensuring that everything that's likely to impact on additional cost of the project is recorded. Maybe a trade reference number there. There could be a number of different other items which means that in the final summary, when you present the adjustments, that it relates to either a trade, either to a cost element, or it may be to a particular subcontract, or a provisional sum too. So any other references that assist in these, including making it clear that what the estimates were for yourself, the submission dates, variation number, and agreed VO number in there as well. Maintaining a current and up-to-date construction program. With the construction programs also, I generally like to keep the old programs filed as well. Just to reference back again, although the current construction program should show where things have improved and where things have deteriorated, keeping the headings of these in a line with some of your costing headings and also contractors is also very useful. But this is a very important document for managing your trades, managing deliveries, managing your cash flow as well, and also indicating then what that final practical completion date is and whether there's any movement likely to impact on that. Keeping a record of trade packages in a construction management style project is extremely important as well, and this will be the basis then for identifying where we're going with the project. As in the previous two slides where we had the variation schedule and also the construction time program, this is another important schedule to see where we are in the project progress, whether we're going to hit that estimated final contract price, and how each of the three they actually will relate to each other. So on a target sum project, it would be a similar sort of template, and again it gives us a reference point on where those costs are and where it's likely to be going, and that's important again, so we can see overall when we start reporting monthly, we can determine whether we're on track to achieve that final estimated cost for the project and where we are at the moment, where our to give us a true reflection of where we're at today. By considering our progress, actual works progress on site then, with the schedules that we've been looking at and the time construction bar graph, we can then start considering progress claims. So the progress claims should be reported month by month as they occur, and from the original time bar prediction, as well as the trade packages, we can identify what a predicted payment schedule should be and how that graph should look. This is a very simple Bromelo curve used for predicting cash flow on the project, and you can see that the simple Excel matrix on the top there shows where the project's actually going. So this is extremely important to have a prediction and an actual, and also clearly demonstrate to the client and to yourselves that your payment schedules and time is actually on track, and the management of it is going as planned. For each individual subcontract and supplier, you also need to keep a record of what their individual accounts are going to be with you, and how any movement on those, whether it be variations or adjustments to provisional sums, what that's likely to impact on your final account with them as well. And a simple schedule like this can be very useful for that. And bringing a lot of that information on those last half a dozen slides, it comes then reconciles into a cost report status. So we're looking at packages or trades overall, the trade amount, any variations associated with it. It's giving a statement of account of where we are today, and with pending costs in there as well, where we're likely to be. So it's all those possible liabilities and costs collected together and produced on a simple one-page report. Again, this is this type of reporting is extremely useful for in-house, for yourself on site, pushing up the line further to management in a building company, and also going across then to the client. Okay, now we've summarised the most important points and obvious areas in post-contract administration. It's now a great opportunity for you guys to go back and read through the study guide and refer to any subject text or course textbooks that are being offered or nominated in this subject. Work through those workbook activities, and if you have any questions, post them to the student forum or email me.